Um, I'm going to start because we were waiting for you. If your take on why you were called to the stewards, what's your take on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think no one was really sure if we touched or not going into the corner, but we didn't. We didn't touch, and I mean now it's up to the stewards, right? What they think of that. But from my side, of course, it was a very difficult weekend, and in the race it was the same, just a very low grip, and there was not much that we could make out of it.
On the radio at the end, it was, we're going to look into this, and you said, yeah, I'll have a look at it. How much do you get involved, and what sort of things can you help the team with?
It's a fully open discussion between everyone.
And so, you ask for what you want more of, and they say what they can do, or how does it work, just for people to understand?
There are always a few ideas that you look into, but of course I cannot go into detail.
No, that's fine. But in terms of, I guess, you're looking at balance, you're looking at all sorts of things, because a lot gets talked about this car being designed for you, and then it comes out that actually it's quite tricky to drive. You can handle it because of your skills, whereas that's where others find it more difficult. Would that be fair?
Designed for me, I don't think that's true.
Yeah, I'm saying we understand now it's not designed for you. It's a very tricky car that only you can drive because of your talent and your skill. Is what I'm saying. So
it's very complicated to explain because this weekend is just nothing worked. Unfortunately, and I think in Spa we had a much more competitive weekend. Now I know we're not on the level of McLaren, but they're also doing, of course, a really good job this year. But this is a bit weird for us, and that's something that we just need to investigate.
Okay, have a good summer. Thanks, Max.
Thank you.
Did you know that Max Verstappen called the Hungarian GP the most frustrating weekend of all of 2025? And the worst part is that not even he knows what's wrong with the car. What's really going on inside Red Bull that has pushed the RB21 to breaking point? Stay until the end, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. In this video, we'll break down everything that happened during the 2025 Hungarian GP, from Verstappen's shocking statements to the failed RB21 upgrades that could mark a turning point for Red Bull. From the moment the RB21 hit the track at the Hungaroring, the signs were clear and not exactly encouraging. Max Verstappen, known for his ability to quickly adapt to any condition and extract the maximum from the car, began to show signs of concern right from free practice. It wasn't an emotional statement after a poor race. It was a warning from the start of the weekend. And when Verstappen speaks out so early, you know the problem is serious. The first sensations he shared were overwhelming. He said he felt like he was driving on ice. He found no grip, either on the front or rear axle. And that, on a track like Hungary, with slow, technical corners that demand maximum precision, is practically a verdict. But the most serious aspect wasn't just the lack of performance. It was the technical impotence displayed by the team. Verstappen made it clear that they tried multiple configurations, different setups, but none offered a significant improvement. None even came close to a clear direction of progress. This isn't just a weekend of bad luck or unfavorable conditions. We're looking at a situation in which a world champion team, with elite resources and top-level simulation data, was unable to understand what was happening. Max said verbatim that they went around in circles, nowhere near a real solution. That phrase sums up all the frustration built up in every session of the weekend. Red Bull was trying to make progress, but the car responded inconsistently. There was no logic, no cause and effect. Just uncertainty. This GP wasn't simply the worst result so far in 2025. It was the weekend with the greatest disconnect between what was planned and what was achieved. The car wasn't just slow. It was erratic, uncontrollable, unsolvable. And that, coming from Red Bull, is something no fan or analyst expected to see this season. Not even Verstappen. When a driver like Max Verstappen, four-time Formula One world champion and a key figure at Red Bull, publicly declares that he has had his most frustrating weekend of the year, the specialized press and forums explode. And this time was no exception. Max's statements after the Hungarian GP have unleashed a wave of speculation that goes far beyond a simple technical issue. What began as a performance glitch has reignited a seemingly buried debate. Is Verstappen truly committed to Red Bull long-term? In parallel, conversations have also been revived on specialized forums such as r/F1 Technical and Planet F1, where analysts and fans with access to leaks have begun to connect points that previously seemed unrelated. For example, several users suggest that the Milton Keynes team could be redirecting some of its resources toward the development of the 2026 car, given the magnitude of the upcoming technical changes. If this is true, we would be facing a situation in which Red Bull would be deliberately sacrificing some of its 2025 performance. And that, for a driver like Verstappen, is no small message. There is also strong talk that Max's patience is reaching its limit. Although he has a current contract, he has demonstrated in the past that he is not content with projects that lose direction or technical clarity. The British media, always attentive to the slightest crack at Red Bull, have also published articles questioning whether the team is losing its ability to respond to complex problems. Some journalists close to Mercedes have even hinted that Toto Wolff continues to maintain informal contact with Verstappen's entourage, in case the relationship with Red Bull deteriorates irreversibly. There is no official confirmation, but the fact that this conversation exists is significant. All these rumors did not arise by chance. What happened in Hungary has generated a different perception of the team and Verstappen. Where once there was an unbeatable figure in a perfect environment, now there are cracks. Small but visible. And in Formula One, where the environment is everything, that can radically change the balance of the driver market. Red Bull's reaction to the technical disaster in Hungary was neither immediate nor forceful, and that's what caught our attention the most. A team that has accustomed us to quick responses, surgical solutions, and absolute control over every detail, this time seemed bewildered. Official statements didn't reflect confidence, but rather bewilderment. Helmut Marko was clear, they have no answers. Pierre Watch, the technical director, admitted that the wind tunnel and CFD simulations don't match the car's actual behavior. And that, for a team like Red Bull, is almost a confession of vulnerability. In Verstappen's case, frustration is no longer hidden behind protocol or diplomatic language. His words after the race were direct and unfiltered. He said the car was behaving erratically, that every setup change seemed pointless, and that, despite all the team's attempts, nothing was working. It's unusual to see Max surrendering to the lack of solutions. He's a driver who demands excellence, who thrives on precision. And when he says it's going around in circles with no way closer to an answer, he's not just talking about the car. He's pointing to a deeper, more structural problem. Red Bull attempted to respond in Hungary with some technical updates. They introduced a new front flap to improve downforce in slow corners, and also redesigned the brake ducts to improve front axle cooling. On paper, these were logical measures to adapt to the demands of the Hungarian circuit. But in practice, they changed nothing. The car was still unbalanced, still lacking grip. And that baffled not only Verstappen but also the rest of the team, who couldn't explain why the improvements didn't produce any tangible results. These kinds of situations are not normal for a team that has dominated commandingly in previous seasons. If simulations don't reflect reality, and the updates have no effect, the problem isn't isolated. It's systemic, and that requires more than technical adjustments. It demands an internal restructuring, a review of methodologies, and, above all, much clearer communication between driver and team. Meanwhile, at the Milton Keynes factory, the atmosphere has changed. The engineers know they're under scrutiny, not only for the results, but for how they manage this technical crisis. Time is ticking, and the summer break is the only respite they have to look for real solutions. The relationship between Max and the team isn't broken, but it is strained. And how they handle this moment will determine the course of the rest of the season. The summer break has come at a critical time for Red Bull. It's not just a pause between races. It's a window of opportunity that could define the course of the rest of the season and, consequently, Max Verstappen's immediate future. Over the next few weeks, the team must review every parameter of the RB21, identify the root cause of the disconnect between simulations and the track, and develop solutions that are not just theoretical but functional. It's no longer about finding tenths per lap. It's about rebuilding the trust between the driver and his car, something that currently seems completely broken. Rumors indicate that Red Bull is accelerating a series of factory tests, including new comparative simulations between wind tunnels, CFD, and real-world track data, in order to detect the exact point at which the car stops behaving as it should. It won't be easy. The technical variables that affect performance are numerous, and if there is an inconsistency in the data correlation, it means reviewing entire processes. The technical team, led by Pierre Watch, is under pressure. not only because of the sporting results, but because any additional failure could escalate Verstappen's discontent to a level that can no longer be contained with public statements. As for Max, what is expected is for him to maintain a firm stance. His style has always been direct, but also calculating. If he sees that Red Bull isn't making progress during this break, he's likely to express his frustration again, perhaps even more forcefully. He's no longer served by being told they're working on solutions. He needs measurable results, a car that reacts to changes, a team that listens to him and acts accordingly. Because for someone competing to win every race, there's no room for waiting, and the calendar is unforgiving. There's also a growing expectation that this period will be used to define the technical direction for the rest of the year. If Red Bull decides to restructure its approach and focus all its efforts on correcting the RB21's flaws, they could make up for lost ground. But if, on the other hand, they choose to push ahead with a conservative strategy or prematurely focus on developing the 2026 car, the risk is high. Not only could they jeopardize the current championship, but they could also lose the confidence of their most valuable asset, Verstappen. And that's something no team with real title aspirations can afford. The movements of the rest of the grid will also have an impact. McLaren has proven to be the team with the greatest upward projection. Ferrari is staying close, waiting for the right moment to strike. If Red Bull doesn't react, it will not only lose its points lead, but also its psychological authority over its rivals. They no longer inspire fear. And that, in Formula One, is worth as much as a pole position. The balance of power is shifting, and what they achieve during this technical break will depend on whether Red Bull manages to remain the benchmark or cedes that position to others. The only certainty is that nothing is set in stone. The coming weeks won't just be a rest period. They will be filled with high-impact strategic decisions. And how Verstappen perceives those decisions will determine whether he returns to the paddock with renewed confidence or even deeper doubts. Because at this level of competition, the difference between staying at the top or starting to fall is decided by the margins. And right now, Red Bull is walking on the edge. What happened at the 2025 Hungarian GP was much more than a poor result for Red Bull. It was a wake-up call, a warning that exposed the cracks in a team that seemed invulnerable. And the most shocking thing wasn't the on-track data, but the general feeling that, for the first time in a long time, Red Bull isn't in control of the situation. Verstappen made it clear, the car isn't responding, the gears aren't working, and the frustration has reached a point that can't be hidden. If anything was clear this weekend, it's that Max will not tolerate an environment in which he can't compete at the level his ambition demands. He's not interested in finishing races, he's interested in winning them. He doesn't look for technical excuses. He looks for immediate solutions. The technical analysis showed us that the updates implemented didn't resolve the fundamental problems. The disconnect between the simulator and the track is no minor anomaly. It's a sign that something isn't working within the team's internal structure. At this level, it's not enough to be fast. You have to be consistent, reliable, and precise in every technical aspect. And right now, Red Bull is failing at that. As for the future, nothing is guaranteed. The summer break is a time of pause, yes, but also of strategic reflection. And now I want to know your opinion. Do you think Verstappen should remain loyal to Red Bull no matter what? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.